Welcome to the EntrePastors podcast on YouTube. This is a show that helps pastors think, act, and thrive as prosperous entrepreneurs. Well, hello there, and welcome to the EntrePastors podcast on YouTube. My name is Jon Sanders, one of the co-founders of EntrePastors, and we want to welcome you to this week's podcast episode. The title is Why You Should Not Set Goals in 2024. I know this is a time of year where everyone talks about New Year's resolutions and setting goals, and in this episode, you're going to hear me and my co-host, Les Hughes, have a conversation around why you may not just want to go setting any kind of random goals. We'll get into all of that in this episode. We also are going to be sharing some really exciting updates about some new things that are getting ready to take place within our EntrePastors platform. We'll share a little bit of our goals and our commitment to those, the vision that we've got for where we're going in 2024 and how we're going to serve you, the listener, and our growing audience. So you're in for a good one. Thank you for being with us this week. Without any further ado, let's get into the episode. Here we go. Well, welcome to the EntrePastors podcast. We're delighted to have you. And in this episode, we're going to be answering the question, why you should not set goals for 2024. Now, that may sound like odd language coming from guys like Jon and Les, because a lot of times you hear us talking about having big vision and goals. But in this episode, we're going to tell you why that alone may not be in your best, in your best, what am I trying to say here, Les? In
best
your
interest,
advantage, in your best interest. There you go. I'll have to edit that part out. But anyway, I've got Les in the studio with me. Les, how's it going, man?
It's going good. You're looking well today.
Yeah, likewise, bro.
I know we're going to be talking about, and I'm excited because I think there's some folks out there that are going to have a great start to 2024, and I believe what we're going to say today is going to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to just jump right into this because, this is going to land as the very last episode in 2023. So before we roll past that, can we just pause for a quick minute? Let's celebrate 2023, man. Like to think that EntrePastors just hit its 2-year anniversary in this past year, and to see how much ground we've covered together, how our community's grown, the relationships that we've made as a result of this platform. Before we just go blowing on into a new year, which I'm excited about, can we just pause for a minute and reflect? It's been a good journey up to this point. I'm grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. In some ways, I can't believe it's been only that long, and in other ways, I'm real grateful for the ground we've covered. So it just seems like, I guess one of the things is a lot of this does come naturally to you and me, and it's been how we think and how we act and feel for a long time. So maybe that's why it seems like we've been doing it longer, but I sure am pleased with the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got some big vision, big goals for 2024, and we're going to unpack a few of those things in this show as we kind of celebrate the end of one year and the beginning of a new one. But before we talk,
can I jump in and
go right ahead.
Coming up, this will be the best year for EntrePastors and the people in our community that put into action the things that we talk about. I have no doubt this will be the best year.
Up to this point, 100%.
So far.
I agree with you.
So far,
yes,
yeah.
100% agree. We've got some fun things planned, and we're going to unpack a few of those in this episode. But before we talk about us and EntrePastors, we want to just share kind of a big picture thought with you guys, and I'm going to go back to the title of this week's episode, Why You Should Not Set Goals for 2024. And Les, I'll just share a quick story, and there's kind of a point in this. Recently, I was talking to a coach and just kind of having a coaching conversation with this guy who is a very high dollar earner and works with very successful people. And this guy was asking me about us and EntrePastors and some goals that we have. And he heard me answering things like, well, we hope to see this and that, and we want to do this or that. And he just cut me off and was like, you don't have goals. He said, you're not speaking in the language of someone who has goals. He said, you need to change your vocabulary to that of commitment. He said, I'm not hearing what you're committed to. I'm hearing what you hope happens. I'm hearing what you want to see happen.
You had dreams.
Yeah.
You had
And
hopes and
I think
dreams.
this time of year especially is kind of common for people to set like New Year's resolutions for themselves, and everyone talks about that. And people get all excited about going back to the gym or starting their new diet, or they're going to change this behavior or that bad habit or whatever. And about 2 weeks in, man, they've just given up on all of it. They've kind of fallen back into the old pattern of things, the old rut. And you know, I think this is getting to the heart of that. They had a dream, a desire, a want to, but not a real commitment of what they were going to see happen in their world. And so I think
Which
that,
also makes them not really resolutions, right?
say more.
So I think what a lot of people, a lot of things that we talk about and call resolutions really are not, because when you resolve something, it's like done in
Yeah,
your mind. I mean, it's done,
that's
and
good.
you're a new person with new habits and the kind. So you say yourself, would blank kind of person spend their time in their day doing what I'm doing right now? And a lot of the times the answer would be no. So you ask a question, well, what would I be doing right now? If I were the kind of person that were healthy and fit, would I be eating this? Would
Hmm.
I be sitting around doing this, or would I be in the gym, or taking a walk, or running around my neighborhood? So those are true resolutions. That's what they are. But I think a lot of the things that people call resolutions are really just try tos.
Yeah, and good intentions
Try.
maybe.
Yeah,
Just
intentions. That's a good word.
yeah,
They are.
I kind of intend to sort of maybe kind of hope to see this thing happen. And if that's where you're at, if that's kind of the energy you're bringing to this, you're wasting your time. We're not here to discourage you. We want you to set the
Yeah,
right
or
kind
beat
of
you up.
goal.
That's
Yeah,
something we want to do. Yeah.
absolutely. We want you to set the right kind of goals that are set up for success. And here's what I can tell you, Les. I believe it was like in October of this past year when I had that coaching conversation I referenced, and it has changed a lot because instantly I started looking at some things in my life, going, okay, if I was really committed to that, what action steps would I be taking daily? And it brought it down from this big lofty idea to like daily actionable habits that I can track the progress in my journal daily. Like, did I do the work? Did I do the thing? And
Mhm.
it's been a game changer. So that's really the big idea that we wanted to share. It's not that we don't want our community to set goals for the year 2024. I hope it's the best year you all have ever had in multiple areas of your life, in your marriage, in your spiritual walk, in your physical fitness, all of those areas. I hope it's the best year you've ever had. But if there's not commitment to it, it is just going to be good intentions and nothing
Yeah.
more than that. So that's what we wanted to
Good.
briefly jump in here and challenge you with.
Yeah, very good. And a reference or a resource, anybody that has not read the book Atomic Habits, the way to do what Jon just described is outlined in specific detail in that book. We recommend it. Atomic Habits.
Yeah, good stuff. I'm actually reading that as we speak, Les. I'm going through that book right now. I've heard a lot of people
That's good.
recommend it. And so, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
glad you brought that up because it does totally fit with the conversation that we're having right here today. So, hopefully, that's an encouragement to you guys. Now, here's the thing, we know we're kind of right in the middle of a holiday week, and we're going to keep this episode short on purpose. So, we wanted to just challenge you with that as you have hopefully, some downtime to think about some things in approaching the new year, that you do so from a posture of commitment, a vocabulary and behavior of commitment, not just wishful thinking. And we want to now share a few things that we have as far as vision goes for EntrePastors and some of the value that we're going to be bringing to this community, what we're committed to in 2024. And there's kind of two big areas that I want to focus on in this conversation, Les. The first one is in regards to our podcast. And then the second one is going to be in regards to our business builders. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. But we've got
Yeah, and
some,
can we also say,
yeah,
Jon, that excuse me for interrupting you again, but these shifts on our part are because if we put ourselves on the other side of the microphone, because we have been and we are in many ways, then these are a couple of things that are going to move the needle in a positive direction for people that'll implement, the ideas and mindsets and practices. So I'll let you finish your thought there, but I did want to throw that in, that it's to be helpful. It's not just so that we can have more things to do, or not to create more stuff for us, but we really believe that it's going to help people move the ball down the field.
absolutely. At the end of the day, our goal is to be truly helpful and serve our community. So even though we're talking about us, this really isn't about us, Les. This is about our people. This is about our end users. That it's the reason we're doing these things. And like you said, it's not just to be busy or have more work on our plate. It's because we actually want to see change and transformation take place in the lives of those that are tuning in. And so and by the way, Les, you can interrupt at any time. Your picture's on this podcast, man. Like
Yeah.
you're part of it. So you
Gotcha.
never have to apologize for jumping in. So to the podcast, here's some really big news that we're getting ready to share. You're hearing it for the first time here. Starting on January 1st, 2024, the EntrePastors podcast is going to become a daily show. That is not a skip on the record. That is not a glitch. You heard me right, Les. Daily podcast, and I'm terrified. How are you feeling about it right now?
You see this sweat beating up on my forehead, man?
This is a crazy idea. Now, quick,
We can do it though, man. We can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're committed. We will do it. And
Yeah.
here's the small disclaimer. We're running a 90-day experiment on this daily podcast idea. And technically it's not even daily because it's going to be 6 days a week. We're going to observe the Lord's Day on Sunday and not create content. But Monday through Saturday, we will have a new show going out every week for a minimum of 90 days. Now, I'm asking our audience for some feedback as we begin this journey. I really would love to hear from you if this is landing well, if it's hitting a target. If you're like, man, this is really good, keep it coming. Let me know. If you're like, guys, I can't keep up, you're creating way too much content. I just want to hear how, this is serving our community. I'm committed to staying the course if this is hitting the target and really being helpful. And if it's not, then like I say, we're not here to create more busy work. We'll back off and go back to our weekly, regular scheduled programming. But
just so that they're not afraid it's going to be a commitment on their part of 5 hours of a week or so. You want to describe what it was going to look like? Oh, and by the way, hey, here's what we want to do, everybody. We really want to be an example, because we realize a lot of these things we talk about are caught as much as they're taught. And so if you can't look at what we're doing in our business and be encouraged because we're encouraging you to do and challenging you to do the things that we're doing as well. And if we're going to share the results with you, whether they meet our expectations or sometimes they don't. And we want to share those things with you and just be honest about that. So what the intention or behind this action is this: we want to get our message out, right? If we didn't want to get our message out, that wouldn't say much about our message. So we do want it to get out. And so we want to grow our audience to see that happens. And we can't. So one of the things that we cannot control is who decides to listen, who shares the podcast with other people, how many times people show up, how long they listen to the episode, whether they finish it or not. Those things are really sort of beyond our control. But and we try to encourage people, or we do encourage people, John, that, hey, don't sweat over the things that you don't have any control over, but there's enough that we do have control over. So while we can't control necessarily how many listeners there are or who shares it or how long they stay on an episode, here's a thing we can control. We can absolutely control how many times we sit down in front of these microphones and push record and have something to say for anybody that would listen. That's what we can control. And we really believe that if we show up and if we're producing things of value, that those other things will happen. In other words, we'll see those tangible results. But because those things we can't control, we're doing the thing that we can control. And so for everybody in our community that we've given that counsel to, and it's a bunch of people, like, well, hey, you can't control that. What are you doing? Who did you call? Who did you talk with about what you're offering right now? How many emails did you send in a day or in a week? How many words did you write in your book? Those are all things those actions we can take. And so everybody, that's really what we're doing. We're just taking actions based on things that we can control.
Yeah. And one of the goals we have, Les, is to see our numbers 10x on our listening audience. So here's a good example of what we were talking about earlier. Rather than just writing down some lofty goal of we want to 10x our listening audience for our podcast, Well, let's back it up from that. What are we committed to doing? What action steps are we committed to doing to move the needle on that and see that happen? We've gotten a lot of coaching around this, that a daily show will do that. And there's some other nuanced changes that people will start to see in our podcast, some other things we're going to experiment with as well as we continue to try to take this to the next level. But this is a great example of us doing what we're telling others to do. Like, have a big goal, yes, but then back up from that, set some daily actionable things, and then be committed to running with that and sticking with that. Les, you were kind of asking a question earlier. I think this is where you were going, where you were making a commitment to our audience. We're not going to have 6 full-length episodes every single day, or every week, for people to get through. Our right now, our rhythm has been every Friday we release a new show, and it's 45 minutes to an hour, maybe just a little bit longer. And so long form content in the world of podcasting, our vision for these daily shows is they're going to be a little bit shorter, most of them. I'm not saying we'll never have an interview that we plug in here or there, but for the most part, it's going to be shorter form content, 10 minutes ish, give or take, and just bringing some value every single day. And we're going to experiment with that. Does that meet a certain profile of a listener that our long form content does not? I don't know. But I agree with what you said. We'll share the results and we'll let our audience know this is kind of how we're doing. And are we winning on this one, or are we not seeing the results that we would like to see? So it's a learning experiment that we're doing. And I'm excited about it. Like I said, a little bit scared because that's a big commitment to say a daily show. But this is just a good thing to follow, guys. When you try something, call it exactly that. It's an experiment, gives you permission to stop doing it if it's not, reaching the target that you wanted to hit with it, and gives you permission to fail without feeling like you failed. It's an experiment. We'll see how it goes. But
yeah, so our commitment, just to be clear, is not to 10x our podcast, because if we make that commitment, there's some things that we can control as far as our habits, but not the outcomes. So to be realistic, we're saying what we're committing to, among other things, is to record and to show up and record every single day, or produce a podcast every single day. Some days we'll batch. We may record 2 or 3 in one day,
right.
But to put one out there every single day, and then we'll know the results and we'll share the results. And here's the thing. We got people in our audience that want a podcast. They want to have a platform and an audience, and they're building that, or like a coaching practice or something. Don't base our results on what actions you take. It's just an example. The example is that we're going to be out there doing it, and we're going to show you some results, and they're not arbitrary. Like, we're not blindly shooting arrows into the sky. There are some reasons that we're doing these things. They may get the results we want. It may be better than what we expect. It may not be quite as good, but one of the things that'll happen, John, is we'll know, won't we?
Yep,
we won't
absolutely.
be guessing. We'll know.
So a daily podcast in 2024, at least for the first quarter, and then we'll kind of see what happens after that. As far as if we're hitting our goals with it, then we're going to keep right on trucking along if it's serving our community well. And if not, then we'll regroup and see what that looks like. But I'm excited about that. That's one big announcement. Here's another one. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about our EntrePastors Business Builders membership community. Les, this is something that you and I kind of stumbled into. Stumbled isn't the right word. We continued to, reiterate on an idea and on a product. We kept experimenting with different things. And in June of this past year, we launched Business Builders. And a few months later, we really turned the heat up on this as we started to see some traction coming in this product, if you will, of our business. And what Business Builders is, it is a membership community of pastors and ministry-minded people who have just launched a business, or they're just on the verge of launching a business, and really want some coaching and some encouragement, accountability, a group of people to walk beside them, to celebrate the wins that they're having, to give guidance. And that's what Business Builders is. We have a weekly call. There's some content that comes with that. There's a whole backlog of past calls, a library there that you can go listen in on all of the past calls. So we've really started to see movement with the guys that are in our group right now. They're really starting to make some traction in their life as far as getting businesses launched. And by the way, Les, not just businesses, but so many other things like connected to their mindset and just much more healthy, positive outcomes that they're experiencing in their life. And we want to really take that to the next level in 2024. So I know we've talked a little bit on this podcast. We've already rolled out this announcement, but why don't you just reiterate again for our community, what is kind of the big vision for 2024? What is it that we're shooting for, and what that
Well,
we're committed to seeing happen?
we've made a commitment to helping 50, I was going to say 50 people, but we've made a commitment to help people start 50 businesses that are making money, not
Yeah,
just an
profitable.
LLC on a piece of paper, but something that's profitable, something that can be built on and grown in the future as a substantial or significant source of revenue for these families. In many cases, Jon, what they're building will take the place of the income that they're earning right now in some sort of ministry related position, because there will be a day that they'll step away from that, either
Yeah.
because it's the stage of life that they're in, or there may be another reason. But what it will mean is that they don't feel like they're forced or trapped in a situation that's not healthy for them,
Yeah.
and it's not healthy for the people that they serve. For whatever reason, they may need to move on, but sometimes a consistent paycheck will tie you to a place where it's just, and you don't feel like that's where you need to be. It's not healthy. That's, and as people who are listening know, you all know this, money alone is a terrible motivating factor to keep you in a ministry position, like on staff at a church or some sort of nonprofit organization, because you don't want to just hang around in those places. You want to make a big difference in the world, or you wouldn't be doing that. And so what will happen is, as these businesses grow and become more and more profitable, they'll either significantly supplement the income that a family receives, or they'll take the place of one day, if that's what the people want.
Yeah, and not only is it a terrible thing to be stuck in a job because of the money, it's even worse when that money is not that good to begin with. And so, Les, you and I encounter many pastors who feel stuck. They feel trapped, maybe in an unhealthy church situation, or it's just, man, things are not ideal. And money's often a big part of the challenge of, well, why do you stay in that spot? Why are you stuck? We want to help pastors have some margin. We want to help pastors have some options. We believe the way to do that is by becoming financially independent of the churches that you're serving. And business is a great way to do that. So let me reverse engineer what I heard you say, Les, and I'm going to say it from the future looking back. By this time next year, you and I are looking back over our shoulder, celebrating the fact that there are 50
At
pastors that have
least,
launched, at least 50
at
pastors
least,
that have
yeah,
launched businesses that did not exist today as you and I are recording this. These are new
that's right.
businesses and they're profitable,
Yeah,
not just, I kind of sort of stumbled into an LLC, but I actually am making money every single month and bringing new income streams into my family through a
yep.
business that did not exist. We're going to
And
celebrate
for the
that. And
and
go,
for the
and I
person
just
that's
want to
saying,
go
yeah,
ahead.
and for the person that might be saying, well, what does that mean though? Profitable? You talking about making a dollar's profit after I break even, or we're saying whatever. What do you need? Like, would it mean the world to you and your family? Like, would it change your lifestyle in a positive way, or your outlook on the future, if you were to earn another, say, $500 a month? What would that number, or what would that number be? Is it 1,000? Is it 2,000? Then that's what you will set the definition of what success is. That's between you and the Lord and your family. And so whatever that means, here's what I'm asking, Jon, and then you can speak into this as to share with folks how they do this. But if what we just said, everybody, if it relates to you at all, if it speaks to you at all, if you anywhere in the course of the last few minutes, if you thought, you know what, I would love to be one of those 50. I'd love to be that person. I wonder if that could be me. I'll just say, first of all, yes, it could be
Mhm.
you, no doubt. And John, if somebody's either literally or figuratively raising their hand and saying, "That's me, sign me up. I'd love to be one of those 50." You want to tell them how they can do it?
I will. One last thing before I get to that, because I'm going to tell you either the fast track way to do it or an even easier offer that we want to make available to you. But one other quick thing that Les and I are excited about with Business Builders is we have just, well, really, we've rolled out the concept. We have not actually produced this for our community yet. In the probably the next 2 weeks, this is going to be a real thing in our community inside of Business Builders, and that is essentially a scoreboard for everybody that is in our group. Their name's going to be on this scoreboard. The whole community can see it. And we're walking you down a pathway of actual steps that need to be taken. You're defining, back to Les, what you were saying earlier, they're defining what financial success looks like for their business. That's we're measuring off of your metrics, whatever you need for your family. That's what we'll celebrate when you're celebrating, basically. And then we've got a scoreboard where we're going to walk you right down the pathway and celebrate each little step along the way as you're launching your business. So this isn't just you figure it out. This is me and Les and our entire community walking beside you, cheering you on as you go step after step after step. And finally, we get to the point where your business is off the ground and it's profitable and it's making money. So how do you get involved? Well, if you're like, guys, I need to sign up yesterday, get me in the door, you can just go right to our website, EntrePastors.com. It's right there in the middle of the page. It's kind of the middle main offer that we have. It's $99 a month. Jump in and be a part of it. But if you're still not totally sure, you're like, man, is there any way to just smell the air a little bit, to kick the tires before I commit? Because, man, $99 a month, I'm not in a strong position to add that expense to my life right now. First of all, I would challenge that word expense. It's not an expense, it's an investment. But I get it. For some of our people, where we meet you is at that place of like, I truly do not have any extra that I can put towards something. We want to make this as easy as possible. And so what we're rolling out in 2024, here's the next big announcement, is that we're going to be offering every single month, we're going to have what we're calling a 30-day Business Builders experience. And we're opening this up for 10 pastors a month. So if you take that over the course of the year, Les, that's 120 pastors that we want to invite into this 30-day experience. And essentially, here's the big idea for this. Before we ever receive a penny from you in your investment to us, what we want to see is we want to offer you 30 days of the full experience of being part of our Business Builders community. That means for absolutely free, you come into the community. Now there's a couple conditions. You have to apply for this, like Les and I have to approve you. We want to make sure you're a good fit. You also have to commit to being on every single call in those 4 weeks that we let you into the group. And because we want to see, that you're valuing the offer that we're giving to you. But when you come in there, we're putting your name on that scoreboard. We're introducing you to our community. We're letting you have access to the calls, to the content, to the Voxer channel that we have, where everybody can talk between meetings and ask their questions. Like, you're not there with an asterisk beside your name. You are a full-on member of the Business Builders community. And our belief is that after 30 days of you being in the group, you're going to see the value and say, let's keep going. And you will be one of the 50 that we're celebrating this time next year. Les, anything you would add to that?
Yeah, this works. I mean, we've beta tested it already. We know that it works, and that's why we're putting it out now to the more of the public and opening this up. So those 10 spots, we believe that they're going to go pretty quickly. And this is not a commitment, and it's not a bait and switch. It's not a full-fledged commitment. Like, you're not saying that you'll be there month after month after month, but our hope is that you will be.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
I want
we
people
believe
who are
in
committed
this.
to the process, because like
Absolutely.
you said, it works.
No doubt. And we're not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. We want you to stay, and we believe that many people will stay. That's why we're opening it up, and that's why we're showing people, behind the scenes and under the hood and all of that. But we believe that a lot of people will stay because they already are.
Yeah. Now, if you're listening to this later in the year, there's going to be a website for this that you can go to. We don't have all that set up. There'll be a web page, I should say, where you can go sign up and apply for the next available slot. Since we're kind of coming up on the new year quickly, and by the way, in January of 24, there are 5 Wednesdays in the month. That's when we do our calls, is on Wednesdays. So we're actually pushing this back like 1 week. We're starting this on January 10th. So we have a little bit of a margin here in the first part of the year to get some people in. Now we've already got 2 people in, and here's how you can apply for the month of January if you want to be in one of those 10, now 8 spots. You just simply send myself or Les an email. That's Jon, Jon, at EntrePastors.com, or Les, Les, at EntrePastors.com. And send us an email and say, hey, I'd love to be in that group. We'll jump on a call with you, have a conversation in a few minutes, kind of determine whether this is a good fit for you and whether or not you're able to attend our weekly calls. But guys, what I'm excited about, Les, with this is that this is just as gentle of a way as possible for bringing people into the group, letting them see the value, and then knowing that this business is going to continue to grow because people are going to see others getting the support and the success and realizing, man, I'm just a few steps behind where they are, and I can be where they are in a short period of time. So
Yeah, and just know
go
there's
ahead,
a
Les.
reason that we're pouring gasoline, on this part of EntrePastors, just because of what we're seeing in other people's lives. So we're seeing results. We're seeing people get results, take action, sharing testimonies about it. And I think you're going to share something in a few moments. But these are real people. Sometimes people ask us, they're really smart Alex, Jon, online usually, but they're saying, hey, tell us has this ever worked? Does this stuff really work? You got any examples? And absolutely. And we're glad to share them.
Yeah, and actually we're getting ready to play one right now. We've got a testimonial that I want to share from one of our current members of our business builders community. His name is Mark Foster. We've had him as a guest on the podcast before, but he recently created a little video for us. And Les, if it's okay with you, I say let's just roll this and let other people hear directly from Mark, and then we'll wrap up with a few closing thoughts. You ready to go?
Sounds good.
All right, here it is, guys. Check out this review from our friend Mark Foster.
Hey, everybody. My name's Mark. I just wanted to take a minute and share a little bit about my story and why I appreciate Jon and Les at EntrePastors so much. I've been pastoring full-time for just over 20 years. All of that time has been spent pastoring a church. I've pastored 2 churches, both of them running less than 100, which I think puts me in the place of the majority of pastors in America. Most pastors pastor small churches. And with that comes a number of known difficulties, not least of which is the difficulty of meeting your financial needs. It's not an indictment on the system necessarily, but it is often a struggle. And many pastors are below the poverty line, some struggling just to maintain their monthly bills, nothing being set aside for retirement, not knowing what to do if an emergency would arise, and the nagging question of what am I going to do when I get too old to pastor? All of those questions and thoughts and more were in my heart and mind, and they had been discussions my wife and I had. Then someone sent me an email with a link to a podcast episode where Jon was being interviewed. And as a result of listening to that interview, feeling like Jon had been reading my mail, I reached out to him on the website. I had a free coaching call with Jon. That led to, besides being incredibly encouraging, it led to my taking part in their Business Launch Academy, which was a 12-week program at that time. And I went through that with a few other guys. I am not here to tell you that now, as a result of that, I now make 6 figures and everything is roses. There's still a lot of hard work, but let me tell you why Jon and Les have made such a huge impact in my life. One, they gave me permission to build a business, to reach out and to try and to strive. And they lit a fire in me that I don't have to just accept where I was. I'm still pastoring. I intend to pastor for many years to come, but I'm also working at building a business as a result of my interactions with them. They walked me through the process of filing an LLC and organizing a business, and they've put me in contact with a lot of other great people. I've been making connections, many of whom came my way as a result of knowing Jon and Les. So that as I'm building my business and we're starting to get momentum going and things are beginning to happen, I feel encouraged for the first time in a long time that there is hope. that I can do something about it, that there's not nothing I can do, that I actually have a lot of skills, a lot of abilities that come from ministry and can transfer to the marketplace. And it's been so awesome to be a part of the group that Jon and Les have put together. Now that I've gone through the Business Launch Academy, I'm in the Pastors Business Alliance, and that's a weekly call, and it encourages me, and it continues to fire me up. It's like a weekly kick in the pants. Just these guys come alongside of you, and they encourage you, they challenge you, they push back against the false narratives that you tell yourself. They're going to tell you the truth, but they are going to be there to answer your questions. And I just could not recommend what they do highly enough. They have made an impact in my life. No, I have not yet started making six figures, but I'm going to get there. And I'm going to build something that my family can be proud of, that the Lord would be proud of, and that is going to meet my family's needs in the years ahead. And a huge part of that goes in thanks to Jon and Les. So thank you, Jon and Les, for the work that you're doing, your selflessness in doing so. You're making it accessible to the average pastor out there. And I just want to encourage anyone who's thinking about it, you're on the fence, reach out, schedule a free coaching call with Jon or Les. See what they have to offer. See what encouragement they can give you. There's never nothing you can do. And they can help you figure out just exactly what steps you can take to get you on the path to financial security, to firing up your imagination, to doing the hard things and doing things that you were excited about doing again, all while continuing to minister, whether in your local church or in the marketplace. Thanks for taking time to listen. Thanks, Jon and Les.
Well, there you go. That's Mark Foster. And guys, I don't know if you could hear in his voice that there's something there. There's a tone of commitment, of resolve. And if you would have known Mark and met him when he first came into our community a while back, that's his
I was thinking
countenance has changed.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. That is a different Mark Foster.
Yeah, I have no doubt he's going to be one of our 50 that we're celebrating at the end of 2024 because
yeah, for sure.
he's got it, man. Like he's walking out this transformation right now.
Sure.
And we're grateful for the kind words that he read exactly as Les wrote them. Nice script that you gave him there.
Yeah, right.
Totally
Hey,
joking.
you know what? And he did the work though, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was just out for a run the other day, Jon, and I was thinking about what it is that we really are providing and what we do. And here's the way I would say it. If people were to say, well, tell us exactly what you all do. What's EntrePastors about anyway? We really provide a couple of different things. Mark used the language of giving permission. You know, you don't need permission from us, but what he's really saying there is that he was around people, even well-meaning. Nobody is necessarily doing this in a malicious way, but people have their own concepts and mindsets about what's allowed, and what's permissible by people who are in ministry, and that takes a certain kind of focus, et cetera, et cetera. So what we were able to pull out of Mark were the things that God had placed there already. They were either dormant or not being utilized or something. But what we want to do is create the conditions that will foster success, like he was talking about. And what we provide as much as anything else, Jon, is just tools, a lot of them, and very specific tools. But we can't do the work for people. We've got our hands full on our own, right? But we can provide tools. And I think that knowing what tools lead to what specific results is a huge part of this.
Tools and
he's still doing the work.
Tools and the support of a community. Yeah. It's that whole idea of that ancient proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And it's in that togetherness that we see that success happening. Certainly the tools as well. I don't disagree.
No, that's 100% right.
That whole package. So guys, we want to wrap this up. I want to just kind of bring this back to you. We've shared a little bit about EntrePastors and our vision for 2024. But as we get ready to sign off, I want to come back to asking you, what is your vision for 2024? What are the goals that you are committed to? I don't want to hear about, flaky New Year's good intentions. I want to hear about goals that you are committed to. And since the commitment is there, you're reverse engineering that, backing up, going, okay, so then what needs to change in my daily life? What action steps do I need to begin taking to see that become a reality. I wish you all the very best 2024. Les, I look forward to serving alongside of you in the upcoming year and all these things we're talking about. And unless you have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and sign off on this podcast. How does that sound, Les?
That sounds great. I feel the same exact way. We're looking forward to it.
All right. God bless everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. We're grateful for you. Don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything Les or I can do to be of service to you. And we'll see you in a couple of days, January 1st, 2024, as we begin the daily podcast of the EntrePastors podcast. Talk soon, guys. Well, hey, thanks for watching this episode of the EntrePastors podcast. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can be notified every time we release a new episode. If you'd like to get connected to other pastors who are learning to think, act, and thrive as prosperous entrepreneurs, then we invite you to check us out on Facebook. Just search for the EntrePastors Connect group, answer a few of our simple questions there, and we'd love to include you in the conversations. And if you're really ready to go to the next level, then we invite you to join our EntrePastors membership community. When you become a monthly subscriber, you will receive access to courses, exclusive community, and coaching that will help you along in your own EntrePastors journey. If there's anything else we can do to serve you, please visit us at EntrePastors.com, and we will do our best to serve you there. God bless everybody. See you soon.